Well, hello, and you are live, and I'm fixing my collar. You're live with Kim Johnson, and we are here tonight to absolutely show you the inside of my hand. No, we are making sure the sound is up. All right, I'm Kim Johnson, and I am running for U.S. Congress, and we are looking for a win, and you are the winners. So we're going to be talking about that tonight, but we are also going to be talking about your feelings and the consensus of reopening up the country at this time with COVID. And we're also going to be talking tonight about snitches and riches. And this is going to be an important conversation because there is a trend that I am following in America with governors, in particular, not just any old governor, but you're going to find this is predominantly in the Democratic camp. And these governors, hold on. Hey, Sharon! You guys, let me get my hair behind my thing. It gets in my face. Oh, like everybody needs to know that, right? Anyways, let's go back to what we were talking about. There's really a trend among the Democratic leadership to actually institute tactics that, as far as I'm concerned, and I know people get very tired of hearing these cliches about World War II, but I'm an expert in World War II, and I'm not just saying that. That's not tongue-in-cheek. I mean, I have degrees in history, national security, and 7 years, not only 30 years of my life, but 7 academic years of studying Jewish history, Holocaust history, and European history. So when it comes to world wars, as well as American history, but when it comes to World War II, ideologies, trends, how to recognize trends that are stealing the rights and the civil rights of citizens in societies, that is one of my areas that I have given a lot of my life to, understanding these trends. And what I'm seeing in America with the Democratic Party right now, and the trend to try and remove your civil liberties, scares me, I don't want to say to death. I'm not ready to die, folks. But it should scare you. It scares me. It doesn't scare me for me. It scares me for you. It scares me for the Americans that are just sucked up. I mean, like literally sucking liquid through a straw. The Americans that just suck up to all of this very vain and empty worded politics. But when they suck up to governors, mayors, and the like that are saying to their constituents that you need to snitch on your neighbor or what others are doing regarding Corona and will reward you, then you need to be very, very vigilant and very cautious, because this is SS stuff, folks. This is the kind of wording and the kind of implementation of citizen control that leads to fascism. And so when they say to you, you snitch, you say to them, I'm not a snitch. It is one thing as a public citizen to be concerned about the safety of your community. So if you see somebody robbing, if you see somebody breaking and entering, if you see somebody murdering, if you see somebody that is committing a crime on your streets, it is important for you to contact the police. But when it comes to the coronavirus, all right, all of us are in the same boat. And yes, there are going to be people that break the law. There are going to be people that go and do their, like Memorial Day's coming. Here we are in Israel right now. We are actually in the throes of Israel's Independence Day, Yom Holedet, happy birthday Israel. In fact, let me just take a break, identification break. We did a special last night. I don't know if you were on it, but if you missed it, you missed it. We had two incredible soldiers talking to us. Leah Laker took us on a walk through Yom HaTzmaut and Yom HaZikaron through art. And we also had Dean Bai from the Aliyah Return Center on. And then we ended it with Daniel Yehuda, who is world renowned for his singing. And he sang Hatikva, and it was something. And then today, if you missed it again, we had on Lior Hyatt from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here, but he also was the Consul General of Miami. And then we also had Dan Shuftan on. It was very, very funny. You got an insight into the Israeli society you'll never get anywhere else. But regardless of all of that, we're right in the middle of the most important 2 days in Israel. And that is Yom HaZikaron, which was yesterday, and that is the memorial to all of the fallen soldiers, 23,816, plus the terrorist victims in Israel. And not only that, I tell you, yesterday I got a notice that one of my closest friends died suddenly at the eve of Yom HaZikaron. Amazing. A loyal friend, Bill Melman. He has been one of my greatest supporters. He and I had a magazine together for 7 years called Zionnet. And he used to live here in Jerusalem. He moved to Efrat. And he just sent me a note on what I'm talking to you about right now, snitches and riches. He sent me a note just the other day, and after reading my article on it, and he said I was just challenged by the article. I mean, he was, I think, 91. But that's a great loss. So I want to dedicate actually this session to my dear friend Bill and his family, his wife Sylvia and his family. So we had Yom HaZikaron, and then we transition immediately. We go from like a day of mourning, a day where we are actually identifying with the cost and the death that has preceded the foundations of it to be able to build this country. And then we transition immediately, literally in a split second, into Yom HaTzmaut, which is the birthday of Israel, and everybody begins to celebrate and have picnics and barbecues and tons of singing and so on and so forth. But today, because the government didn't want us gathering together, they called a complete lockdown. So technically, we're not even allowed to go 100 meters from our house. So today, I was looking at all my neighbors. Everybody was on their balconies singing and shouting and dancing and making cookouts on the balconies. And it was really quite fastidious. And so really nice. Shelley, thanks for being on last night. That was awesome. It was so good to see you. Thank you. So it was, so I get it. And I'm talking about snitching. There's a difference between you being a part of the eyes and the ears of the police on a very general way. In other words, you see a crime, you report a crime. It's another thing to say, I am going to be looking for somebody who is breaking the COVID rules, even if it's my neighbor. and I am going to report them. Because when a government asks you to snitch, what they are saying is you turn on your neighbor. And if you know anything about the Bible, God hates it. He hates it. It's an abomination. And I will tell you, you will curse yourself if you do it. You don't listen. And I'm not one not to obey a government, but I'm going to tell you right now, they tell you to snitch on your neighbor. They tell you that they'll reward you for doing something like this. Don't you even think about it. And I have to tell you, they think, and you may be behoozled to think very, very seriously. You may be behoozled to think, all right, that, wow, I'm doing such a good deed. I'm stopping somebody from spreading coronavirus, all right? Do you really believe that? All right, or are you snitching? I tell you, folks, and you have to look. You've got Mayor de Blasio, Governor Cuomo, you've got the San Francisco. I just wrote an article about it. I'll have to put it up. You've got the San Francisco mayor. You've got Arizona. All right. All of these are Democrats. In every case, they're Democrats. And not only that, they are even employing Chinese drones to surveillance you from a company. I have the article right here, and I am not exaggerating when I tell you it is a Chinese company that has been suspected of spying on the United States. And if you don't think China is out for a power grab and wants to see the United States fall, then you need to come onto my side of the world and understand that that's exactly what China wants. And so with that, the fact that we have people in government, leaders that would and have the chutzpah to compromise the national security of American citizens by deploying Chinese drones to surveil you, pay attention. Pay attention to what the Democratic Party is doing. I don't want to divide parties, but I will tell you there are people within, and in some cases in both parties, all right? And I'll call it out. I don't care if it's Republican. No, I'm Republican, but I don't care. I see it in both parties. I'll call it out. But I'm going to tell you this right now, that you need to go and vote for every Republican candidate, every one of them, in every district throughout America. And I'm going to tell you why. Not because I want you to vote blindly, not at all. It's because there is some bad seed that is running under the surface through the Democratic Party. We call them progressive lefts, but I'm going to tell you that's bad seed. Anytime you will compromise the national security of a country, anytime you will turn a neighbor against a neighbor, and anytime you will hold the president hostage with the funds and the money of the American people, that's bad seed. And you need to wake up, and you need to go and make sure that whoever's running in your district, and there might be 2 or 3 Republicans, look them up and make sure you vote for them and get everybody to vote for them you can. Do not be silent in a time like this. They want to silence you, but don't be silent. And your greatest asset right now is your mouth. It is your greatest asset, your pen, your phone calls, your emails, the right, your signature. This is your greatest asset. Do not fall asleep now. We are in the race of our life, and we are literally 6 months or maybe a little over to the finish line. And if we let down our guard now and we succumb to this type of, there's a word that I actually want to use, but I'm gonna say it a different way. But if we succumb right now to a lot of ideas that are outside of the character, or ethics that are outside of the character of the American people, that are outside constitutional integrity, that are outside national security. So if we succumb, then we will be devoured. They will take us. Because let me just tell you how it's going to go. Either we are going to put a better government into Washington in November, or we are going to let a bad seed government rise. And if you do that, you will have war. It will come to your doorstep, America. I'm going to tell you, it will come. Because if you lay down your place of right and righteousness in the earth, then you are going to open your borders to a greater power. And it will be just days before China will be flying its planes over the west coast of America. And so let me tell you, that's how important this election is. And I absolutely did not intend to tell you any of that when I started. But I am riled over the way that these Democratic leaders are trying to impose upon your civil liberties ideas and laws that are unethical, fascist, and the very antithesis of who we are as Americans. And so, with that said, I want to thank you. Let's see who's here. Wow, we've covered a lot of territory in a few minutes, huh? All right, Mary, it's so good to see you. Aaron, oh, love you, Aaron. Sharon, what did you say? Oh yeah, wake up. Sharon, thanks so much for joining us last night. It was so great to have you. Yeah, exactly. You know, a lot of people don't, Sharon just made a comment about nationalism. And she said, no wonder a lot of people don't like nationalism. If you don't have my book, Unraveling the Washington Web, you want to get it. I'm also going to be doing a lot of talking about it and through it in the months to come. But the reason why is because I deal with nationalism in a very, very unique way, because this truly is the battle. And what's very, very interesting is coronavirus is pushing nations back to nationalism. Nationalism is identity, folks. And there is an elite movement in the earth. We call them the global elites. Some of them you would know, George Soros, or you'd be familiar with. If you don't know much about him, again, get my book, Unraveling the Washington Web. I'll put the name and stuff down below. But George Soros, the Clintons, the Rockefellers, I mean, let's just go with our friends, Obama. They, well, not really our friends, but he's a nice neighbor. All right, Obama. I'm so sorry to pause right now, but our session this afternoon with Dan Shiftan was something. And I'm just going to pull out that clip where he talks about President Obama. And You are going to love it. It is absolutely hysterical. So back, and then we have also Bill Gates, and this whole stream of individuals. Now, as you know, and I hope you know, if you know me, I do not desire at any level to disparage a person's character. I go after the issues. We all have to take responsibility for our own failures, and we have to take responsibility for our own character and our own decision making. And so I don't want to be in a position to judge any of that. But what I want to be in a position of is to judge the issues that people align themselves with. And so these are the people, just you want to see who are the global players in the midst of the coronavirus. It's easy to spot because they're coming up like dead fish do when they're underneath the sea. They just come up to the top. I know that. You know how I know that dead fish come up to the top? I'll tell you why. Because when I was like 7 years old, maybe 8, maybe, all right, my uncle took me fishing for the first time. He gave me a pole. I got a bamboo pole, and he took me out into the middle of a lake that was in northern Wisconsin. So we had a little motorboat, and there was a pier in the middle, and of course, you know, that's where everybody would hang and jump off of. And so in the middle of the water, he put me on the pier with my fishing pole, and he drove away. He left me there. I cried and I cried. I was so heartbroken. And he came back, and I had caught a fish. I caught a dead fish. It was floating on the top, and my hook grabbed it. So I caught my first fish. So I know about all this floating to the top stuff. And so that's what it's like. You can pick out right now very, very easily who is working on a global agenda and what leaders are doing that are running countries to embrace the national agenda. And right now, a national agenda is the most important agenda, not only for the keeping of the identity of a nation, but it is also extremely important in stopping the spread of COVID-19. And so I think a lot of people, and I know they already are, because I talk to a lot of people, and it's making a lot of us rethink our priorities and rethink our family priorities, rethink our communication priorities, rethink our job priorities, all right? But one of the most important things we're rethinking is our national versus global priorities. And there's a trend toward nationalism right now. And the people that are globalists, they don't like it. They hate it. And yet, it's the very thing that's going to save them. And so, and for a lot of people right now, nationalism is by far the best. I just said for a lot of people, I'm going to say for a lot of nations. In fact, for me, all nations. I think it's fine if we travel across borders and boundaries that give a nation its identity, its economy, its national security. At least it's protected. And the citizens are protected versus open borders, no national security, and no economic choice. So with that said, thank you, Sharon. President Trump is a nationalist. I am a nationalist. And I'm especially a nationalist because I wrote a whole chapter on it. I researched the difference. What are the options for the people? And I can tell you right now, in Europe, I don't even know how I can get this out in words. In Europe, people have been dropping like flies because they have no borders. There's so many countries there, they have no borders. And people can just go in and out, in and out, in and out. And literally, people have been just dropping in the streets. I'm not saying that we don't have our own issues in America to deal with when it comes to the deaths of COVID. But the difference is that we are trying to control these borders. And we have the largest countries in the world, all right? To control our borders so we can protect our citizens. Oh my God, I just wish Americans would wake up and see how pragmatic of a president that we have and be thankful instead of so negative. You know, negativity only destroys yourself. And you know, when things go down, you'll only have yourself to blame. So let me go on. Chris, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh. Ricky, hey, Ricky. All right. Okay. Shelly, again, so good to see all of you. No shows, no more, no more, we're done. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, I am done. But we are gonna be doing definitely many, many more. Sharon just asked if we're gonna be doing another show. It's a lot of work. Every one of those programs that we're putting together takes me about 20 hours of work to put behind, between the calls and between the conversations and between the building of landing pages and social media posts. And so it is quite the process. So the only way I'm going to be doing a lot of those is if I have a team. So if you want to be on my team, come on. All right. Nathaniel, it's so good to see you. All right. And Steve, so good to see you. Kyle, hi, it's so good to see you. So, Kathy Rouse, so good to see you. Oopsie doopsie. Let's see, Julie DeMattis. It is so awesome to see you, my friend. Elizabeth Bass, Julie and I go way back to Chicago days. Tiana, hey girl, it's so good to see you. Betty, thank you so much always for being on. Yom Haledet to you. And Elizabeth, so good to see you, Elizabeth. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get you guys. Oh God, I'm so bad with this. I can't get you back, kids. Oh, where you just went off somewhere. There you go, you're back. All right, so here. Darlene Carpenter, Darlene, you are so right this election. Yes, and I am still running. I am running, and Jeremiah, it is so good to see you. Beulah, so good to see you. Beverly, Kathy, hey. Yes, and I am still in the running. And I have an incredible social media team that has been working very, very diligently. So if it's not tonight, you'll see it first thing in the morning. We have put together the most important thing right now for my campaign. There is nothing more important right now than funds. It is the most important thing for the campaign because without them, we cannot move forward. There's several things that have to take place, and all of it requires exponential funding. And so we have people that are working in a particular area of funding, but the people that we need, we have teams of people, those people have to be paid to be able to run this campaign. It isn't about me as much as it is about them. And so right now, we are going to run some major fundraising campaigns. And because of COVID, we are going to ask everyone, every one of you, to donate $8. It's called Donate 8. And the reason I chose 8 is because the number 8 is new beginnings. We want to get beyond this crisis, and everything is changing. So we want to not only start anew, but we want to be new. And so with that, I'm going to be asking every one of you, if you will, I've even already donated. So if you will join me to the Donate 8 campaign, and you have other choices, you can donate 18, you can donate whatever, but I'm asking everyone just to donate 8 because it's time to go beyond the crisis and it's time to rise. And we have very little time left. And so they're going to open the country. I should be back in the States. I'm still in Israel, of course, but I should be back in the States within 30 days. But we've got a great team right now on the ground in South Florida that is developing. If you want to be a part of our team, whether it's the virtual team, we have a virtual team, and we have an on-the-ground team. Mary Cersei is heading that up. So we are getting organized with that. We have, nobody's been able to do anything. So everything we've been doing is virtual, and we have been doing things. It's just been behind the scenes. So if you don't see me online a lot, it's because I have only like this much time between Israel time and America time. And my goodness, sometimes by midnight here, I'm so exhausted and I haven't even touched half of the people I need to talk to. So anyways, my dear friend Leah Laker has just gotten on. She was on with us last night. You will be receiving the emails. I know if you're signed in, and many of you are subscribed to several of my different sites and things, but you're going to receive the insight from Leah that she did, the clips, and have an opportunity to invest in her art, get a print from her. She'll ship it to you from Israel. Her stuff is amazing, and the story that goes behind it is just incredible. So I want to thank her for hopping on right now. But thank you. And then I'm asking all of you to donate 8. But more than that, this is like I'm on my knees. More than that, I'm asking you to share it. Like and share with all of your email friends, your Facebook groups, your social media, your Instagram. We are going to do a lot of stuff with Instagram and Snapchat because I want those young people with us. However, if you could just share it and tell everyone that we need their support. We are going after a deep state incumbent. In fact, tell you folks, and I know I'm live, we're going after the deep state. I didn't write a book on the deep state for nothing. So anyways, and we really are going to take back not only America, but we are going to take back America and continue to be a blessing to Israel. And this is extremely important. A lot is depending on this 2020 election. But most importantly, it is the national security, the safety, and the prosperity of the American people. And so if you will take, when you see one of those posts that are coming up, the social media post, Donate 8, that's going to be up quite a bit. When you receive one of my emails asking you to donate 8, I'm asking you to share it with all of your emails, share it with everybody you know that knows me, share it with your social media posts, all right? And together, let's take down the deep state. together. All right, that's a little bold. That's a little bold over the you know, I don't know. I don't know. This is a little secret about me, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to go bring this gluten-free cake that I just made for a neighbor. She's not well. I'm going to take it to her. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm like a real Star Wars fan. This is something a lot of people don't know about me. I've been a Star Wars fan. But I actually, I don't watch a lot of movies, but movies speak to me. They speak to me about events. They help me to understand what's going on, and I get a lot of insight this way to a lot of different things. And so Star Wars is an interesting series because the first set of 3 came out in the transition of the United States government to when Ronald Reagan was becoming president. And so it was all of this, you know, the force arising kind of thing. And then we didn't hear anything for, wow, it's like 20 years. And all of a sudden another trilogy comes out, right? Another series starting in 2015. Well, it came out at the end of 2015, and then there was, did it come out 2015? Or, yeah, it came out, I think it was 2015, yeah, for sure. Okay, 2015, or 2016, 2018, and 2020, or no, 2015, 2017, and 2019. That's it. The reason I know is because I've been here in Israel. I was at school, so I came in 2015. So, anyways, the first one was called The Force Awakens, right? It's like on the end of Obama's presidency and President Trump's election, The Force Awakens. And then it was The Last Jedi, right? And that was like in the middle of President Trump's political presidency, the 4 years, so right in the middle. And it's The Last Jedi. It was the dying off of one generation and the raising up of another. And then this last one, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen it, I'm telling you, all I can see when I see this movie is what happens when the people come together. If you haven't seen it, it's something. And at the end, it's the rise of Skywalker. So it's once again the rise of right. All right, so it's so cool. All right, and there's a lot of things, little details in it. But I cannot get away from it. I've actually studied that movie because truly the call for help was so great. The destruction, it was, you know, the coming to the final order, the destruction, the preparation for this final order was so great. And there's just this handful of people, and they are going to have to stop it. And they have to put a call out because they are going to be destroyed. And when they call for help, people come from all over the galaxies and they show up, and it's so massive. And the final order says, they said, what navy is this? What force is this? And the guy says, it's not a navy. This is not a military force. It's just people. It's people. And you see, that's what this is about. It's us. Nobody is going to save us but us. That's what it's about. And we can do this. Every single one of us. We can do this. We can rise. And this plague is not our demise. it is the thing that's transitioning us from one span of time to a new span of time. It's a transition for us. It's not our demise. It is our stepping stone to something greater. And so, with that said, let me see who's here, and I am going to log off. It has been wonderful, so look for our campaign, Donate 8, all right? And Alan, so good to see you. Mary, so good to see you. Sandra Scott, always. Melinda Gonzalez, good to see you. Sharon, oh, thank you again for your support. Christina, hey, sweetie, it's so good to see you. All right, everybody. I love all of you. Wow, did we cover some stuff tonight? All right, so I will see you when I get back on. So hopefully it'll be sooner than later. Kathy, so good to see you. All right, everybody, it has been a blessing. So like and share, and we're gonna do this. Okay, God bless, bye-bye.